everybody. Welcome to Earth to Taylor. I'm your host, Taylor, and I'm so excited to be here today. So many things had to happen in order for me to finally sit down and do this. So, today I'm going to talk about why I'm making this podcast, what I'm talking about when I say so many things had to happen in order for me to start talking. And, a bit of it is so many people in my life telling me, Taylor, like, have you ever thought about starting a podcast? Because yes, on social media, I make cute posts, just like any other woman. I have three kids. I just want to give kind of a backstory, one, of who I am and why things interest me, and two, the topics that I'm interested in. So you kind of know what you're going to get into with me because this is not just some, regular schmegular, oh, let's talk about the weather and this or that. No, I want to get into the nitty gritty. Let's get into quantum physics. Let's get into your family trauma. Let's get into what's going on in the skies. Let's get into ancient history. Let's get into religion, deconstructing, reconstructing, how I'm finding my beliefs. There's so many things that I feel like interrelate with my journey, but also with so many other people's journeys. And when I speak and I talk to people, they're like, Taylor, you have got to talk. So here I am, and here we go. So, first, who am I? Why me? Why a podcast? Why some random white girl with another podcast? Why should you even listen to me? Well, I'll give you a list and you decide for yourself. And truly, I want listeners to understand the things that I talk about are things that just interest me. And if it's a triggering topic, don't listen to it. Or if it's a topic that, things that later on I'll say in the episode is if there's something that you want to talk about or you have, a rebuttal against a belief I have, I would love to have open dialogue and be able to go back and forth with followers, or if they have, a special interest topic that they want to talk about, I want to talk about that too. So anything that I say is my own personal belief and my own findings throughout my own life. And I just want to start off by who I am, at least where I am in my education journey and where I am in my own personal journey, spiritual journey, all of the things. Because I feel like it's important whenever you put somebody on a platform, I want you to know I am not some perfect human being. I am just somebody who has very special interest in a lot of topics, and a lot of people seem to like to engage in them when I bring them up in real life conversations. And I think there's just a lot of crazy shit that I love to research about hours upon hours. I'm 27 years old. I live in Texas. I have three kids. Right now, I'm about almost 40 hours deep into a bachelor's degree. A bachelor's degree is 120 credited hours, and then a associate's degree is 60, and then a master's you can take like a year and a half. So obviously I'm not even halfway there yet, but shit, 40 credited hours is 40 credited hours. Okay, I haven't gone to school in the last 2 years. I had my third kid. Life has just been lifing, and I can't, student loans versus house loans. We're saving up for a house. As life would have it, here I am the last 2 years with just being a mom and time. Honestly, most of my time I spend researching, and there's so many things that I want to talk about that I feel like led me to have this alone time for me to be able to do this research on said topics and be able to share it with other people, because the more you know, the more you become aware. And the more aware you are, the better quality experience you have because you're aware of said experience. And we'll get into some crazy bullshit later whenever it comes to just how we experience things in this 3D dimensional world that we're in. Okay, so yes, I've already taken all my basics. I've taken the max amount of classes that I can at a community college until you have to go to a university because they're stacked on classes that I've learned or just places my brain has brought me. But some topics that I do like to get into are things like psychology. I'm majoring in psychology, and my love for psychology, I think, stem from my childhood. And I will reference, throughout the podcast, just things that happened to me that made me just have awareness of things that any child that goes through trauma becomes aware of once they've gone through that trauma. To me, it was very much so. I became very intelligent in pattern recognition. Okay. So even making this podcast, it's because I've noticed so many patterns when it comes to people's psychology, when it comes to just the universe and things that interrelate to each other, whether it's, the rotation of the solar system and, the Fibonacci sequence, just crazy things that a blank person would just look at it and be like, oh, that's a cool thing. Me, I'm like, oh my gosh, this interrelates to a thousand other things I just learned about this year. So whenever it comes to psychology, I think breaking down the psychology of like why certain people in my childhood were the way they were, why I became the way I was, why I felt so different from people, things as an adult that I'm realizing now that to me, I getting back in therapy and realizing like my childhood through a lens of not being correctly properly diagnosed. Like this next year my goal is to get diagnosed. We'll get into that later, but whether it's ADHD or autism, that's what I'm saying, because I've had other, adult women friends that I've known, in the past since childhood. They're like, oh yeah, I got diagnosed with ADHD, Taylor. Like you're way worse than I am. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to just my hyperfixation, I'm very, sensitive to just justice for people. So whenever I really started deep diving during probably like 2019, 2020, when I felt like racism was exploding all over. Well, yes, I am a bitch with blue hair who is definitely more, even when it comes to politics. I'm going to just say this right now. If I were to be on a section, I would be outside of the spectrum of red and blue, because the things that I think are so radical, I believe in everyone having universal health care. I believe in everyone having, be able to afford a meal and be able to afford rent, with the basic income of the lowest income should be able to afford a basic apartment, basic things. We should have free health care. So if you feel like me just saying that right there just irked you in your bones, you might not want to listen to stuff I gotta say, because I just feel so deeply. I'm such a like I want to see the human in everyone. I feel there's such an interconnection between all of us, no matter what people want to follow, religions they want, morals they think they have or they abide by. I believe in the true value of each person that is alive. And I think that by recognizing certain patterns that we have going on, whether on earth, in politics, interpersonally, socially, whether it's about how men and women, the state that it's in right now, just me being a 27-year-old woman, even though I'm married, I still have friends that are not married or have kids. And I still also have access to the internet where I can see other women that are my age that are talking about the dating scene and what men are like and what men are like on my social media, and how just, like, women, the things we are going through right now, it is just insane. And the way we're going in general in the world, in the country, yeah, but in the world, just the femicides, just how men view women, these 50-50 podcasts, like literally another reason why I want to make this podcast, because I'm like, these shit ass men that are red pilling other shitty men. I hope to God that at some point I'm going to bring my husband on here. We're going to talk about things that he struggles with, things that we've struggled with, me and him separately, a battle interpersonally, and then a battle together of like so much unresolved trauma from our childhoods, and then jumping into parenthood and being, married. Me and this man, more about me. I got married when I was 18 years old. I got pregnant at 17. But knowing what my husband has struggled with, and how, whether it's culturally because he's Hispanic, and just the way culture is, or the way men view women, and the barriers we've had to break of just like basic things. And I feel like I can see it through familial patterns on my side of things that I struggle with, and my reactions in my relationship or to my own children as a mom. So even being a mom is a wild experience. To be a parent when you were a child, having a child, is an insane experience. Even when you wanted the child, even for me having my daughter, it is such a big experience to become a mom, especially for you as the woman. Like, yes, men, yes, it matters when you become a father, but I'm saying for a mother, everything like changes for you, just how you view things, the anxieties you have. I thought I had depression and anxiety and all kinds of shit before. Boy, does motherhood amplify that times a fucking billion, because now you have humans that are part of you that you want to look after, that trigger you, that are like you and your partner, and genetically things that your kids could be predisposed to. I've even, another topic that I enjoy is epigenetics, learning about how literally experiences from past generations could affect your genetic makeup of you, your kid, your great grandkids, could be affected by your experiences genetically. I'm not just saying like, oh, mentally they, have experiences similar. No, no, no. I'm saying you are predisposed to reoccurring themes in your genes until somebody comes along and faces that shit that goes on cyclically in your family that is negative and breaks that shit. And it is one of the hardest things that I've had to do is, as I've become so aware, even becoming aware of my own faults, like it broke me to realize, like, I already suffered from suicidal thoughts, suicidal ideation. So the more I realized in this world how oppressive this world is, whether it's to people of color, then, intersectionality to women, I just didn't want to be here anymore again in 2019, 2020. And then that was COVID hit then. So then it was like I really spiraled into like just diving into all this information, almost a spiritual psychosis situation. But the last few years, I've had to find a way to ground myself back into this earth. I've struggled with it since, literally childhood, suicidal ideation, like I said, and attempts. Ended up being inpatient at one point, ended up being outpatient at one point. Your girl did not want to be here for a very long time. And a lot of my trauma, yes, stemmed from that. But I think intergenerationally, I was one that was predisposed to it all, and then more trauma triggering other mental illnesses going on with me, to where now I'm finding a way to constantly interject and observe. Not to say that I never fuck up. I definitely fuck up, and I definitely have moments of like, why am I doing something that I know I don't want to do, or whatever. And this is where I want to talk to y'all and be very, just real and raw of things I struggle with, because I know there's other women out there that are struggling, because there's so much going on in the world, and it is overwhelming. And when you have kids and all these things are going on in the world, it is so hard to just be the best version of yourself without doing any work. And for me, doing the work is having to force myself to start meditating, like I started meditating probably in 2019, right around there. And then 2020, I started getting really into it. And I've still, gone through things and had moments that I did not enjoy. But ultimately, I've had less and less chapters of full on depression, or, full on mental, breaks, or just not just mental breaks. I'm saying just like panic attacks. Like I don't necessarily sweat anymore when I go into the store. And I used to be so anxious about just going into a store. I don't, when I'm in a room full of people, I'm finally able to kind of close off my energy to not perceiving how everyone is feeling. Because before that, I was so clocking every pattern, every, tone change, every body language around me at all times to keep myself safe. That's what your brain does, is turn on certain things. When you go through things, it changes your brain structure. So for people that believe like, oh, I could just read a couple of self-help books, I could just, dive into this religion and, ask for forgiveness and I'm okay. All of those things can help, in whatever way you see fit. But what I'm saying is so many people are still not aware of their own patterns, and they try to find external things to just fix it. And what I'm saying is, it's been about 5 years for me of like really trying to dive into this. And I feel like I am still just at like the beginning journey. And life is not just a linear, you're born and then you fucking die up here. It is a circle, like a spiral spinning upwards, okay? So I feel like I just want to get to a point to where nothing can really shake me outside of real grief. Nothing can really shake me into becoming a person I don't want to be. And this podcast, I feel like the more things that happen on Earth and the more things that we're finding out, whether it's through experiments, the Willow chip that computed something in however many seconds that would have taken centillion years, and they said it traveled through a dimension to bring in information, or CERN, or whether it's the drones in the sky, or there's so many things that, or the orbs like plasmoids. I've been reading about them, and if you follow me on TikTok, you know that I love to hear about these plasmoids, because it makes sense, them being the thrones, which is kind of a biblical reference if you go and look up what a throne looks like. And they are considered like messengers of the heavens. Times orbs have shown up is insane. Whether it is a natural disaster going on, it happened, and there's, shows on Netflix you can go and watch. There's documentaries on Amazon Prime. There's things that you could probably even watch on maybe even Peacock, but for sure Amazon Prime is a great one to go and watch and look up things. There's just so many interesting, intricate theories that I would love to speak on, that, whether it's outside of psychology, things that go on, once I really kind of got a hold of like how people are around me, I started thinking about the purpose of life and what this cycle is. Because to me, I feel like if inherently I know there's so many negative oppressive systems, why do I want to stay here and be a part of it? And so I had to really start deep diving, and even through religious texts, even through, just esoteric knowledge, or, quantum physics, researching things, reading books about things, and connecting the dots the last few years has been an insane journey. And honestly, it makes me happy that I am married. No matter what me and my husband have ever gone through, being married to a man that like sees the magic in you and around you and can confirm, just experiences me and him have had together, or just, even the universe showing him things that I wanted, but I couldn't. Nobody's going to change until they want to change, or habits that they have until they want to do that. So I feel like it is just insane to watch the magic in general, but for somebody to see it within me and to be able to verify, like, that's fucking crazy, that's fucking crazy, it makes me not feel like I'm crazy, when other people verify. Even, topics like cosmology and astrology. Yes, I believe in astrology. No, I do not think it is something that you should, worship, or something that you should like. I think it's a self-help tool, truly. I think it's like you can look at the planets around us and what they're doing, and it is cyclical. Historically, you can look up different transits that are like major and see major things that happen that coincide in those timelines. And I feel like everything is cyclical, like even mathematically, they find there's math all throughout the universe, just certain angles, certain distances between stars. Everything interconnects. Even our bodies are made up. Whenever you die and you are cremated, your body is made up of stardust. The same elements that make up these galaxies and universes make up me and you. And that's fucking crazy. I feel like so many people just don't see the magic that once you put these glasses on, these magic glasses on, you can't take them off. And I've had to spend the last few years really like toning myself down, not in like I express myself, obviously, blue hair, I do my own nails, I, do whatever I want, but I'm saying tone myself down, and like I have to participate in my reality. I can't just like think, okay, like I love to do my hair and nails, but that's not what matters to me. What matters to me is using my voice, that when I do speak to people in real life, I could go to dinner with somebody, and people have always had this thing for me where I could be at the store and someone's going to come up to me and tell me their life story, or I'm at a restaurant and I've had waitresses sit down, start telling me about, their dead ex-fiance. Crazy things that you would think. So many things that have happened to me that sound like there's no way all this happens to you. You think you're this or that. I don't think I'm anything. I'm just telling you my experiences, and I'm telling you that this energy that I have, I want to spend on talking about things that matter to me. And the things that matter to me are healing and, the esoteric knowledge of the world, which I feel like it's literally like finding the magic. It's like watching Harry Potter for the first time, to a point where it makes you kind of be like, maybe there is a magical world around us somewhere, or there is magical people. What I'm saying is the magic is within all of us, okay? And I'll make an episode about that at some point. But seeing these things that I've seen, and people that have confirmed things for me that just don't even know about what I'm going through or experiencing, or whatever, at perfect times, perfect places. There's a book that I've read called Signs, and it just talks about how, to me personally, and my belief, nothing is a coincidence. And the more that I have like stuck to that, the more crazy experiences that are like back to back to back. There's no way, if you're thinking about something, and or there's different kinds of things you could go through. You're thinking about somebody, you walk into a store, they're there. You're thinking about a song in the car, you turn it on, it's playing. You're thinking about, this, doing this thing, and it pops up. Well, I believe AI also somehow can listen to your fucking thoughts sometimes. But what I'm saying is there's so many powers that I don't think people understand, even within themselves. But what I do believe is becoming more aware of yourself and where you are unbalanced in your life reveals more of your magic, and you're able to use more of your magic. Especially if you guys watch the telepathy tapes. Oh my gosh, these nonverbal autistic kids and their parents are separated in rooms, and they show their parents the number, and the autistic child in the next room knows it. And one of the children said too, which I thought was so interesting, you have to be a truthful person to use your magic. And if that's not the most purest form of saying, like, you have to be a pure vessel to obtain that knowledge, right? Through the ether, okay? No matter what you believe in, there is gravity around you right now. There is phone particles flying through the sky, 5G. That these are not conspiracies. These are real things. Your phone literally has oscillated tiny little crystals in your phone that are vibrating through each other to make you be able to see this and hear this right now. That's insane. And it has, Wi-Fi going through the air. Same thing with frequencies of humans, of animals, of you could be in a room and you feel somebody staring at you. It's because of that energy. Energy is so real and energy is magic, and there is good magic and bad magic. And this is why, themes like Harry Potter are reoccurring in different people's realms of thought when they're making books, because it exists within all of us, good and bad. And people get to be humans here and choose. And I want to talk about my personal experiences with the good and bad that I have chosen, and the things that I've chosen to really look into, how it has harshly reaffirmed for me time and time again that this is not the only reality that there is, that this is really a reality that we are all interacting with right now. Okay, I'm not going to go that far deep right now into that rabbit hole, but we'll get there throughout this season. Okay, I plan on taking you guys with me through my mental health journey throughout this year with my new therapist, and just what I get diagnosed with, on top of, if I am autistic or ADHD or both ADHD, to where it would make sense, just certain things that I do, whether it's tics that I have, you know, so many things that would make sense. Not to say it will make me feel like, oh, I feel better, but it would make sense, especially how informational seeking I am. Why am I that way is something I've always wondered. And not to even say it's a bad thing. I know it's something that I can use as a superpower, like I'm doing right now. I just want to know, I want other people to, one, know that it is possible to so many women that get later on diagnosed in life. You can get misdiagnosed. They misdiagnosed me with just depression, one major depressive disorder, whenever I was like 11, 12. But I feel like it would be so honoring for me to feel like, oh, it wasn't meds that wasn't just working, and I wasn't just a crazy person and felt like I was the outcast all the time, or felt like I was this or that, or I could never, be quiet, or anytime somebody said something, I had to interject without wanting to. It would just make sense. So I want other people that maybe struggle with their own mental health and things like that to come along with me with that journey, and my own health journey, and just things that I'm learning about my body and my hormones. And being a woman is crazy. I've been overall pregnant 7 times in my whole life. That's fucking insane to say that out loud. But the journey of me figuring out right now, literally the last like 2 years, why those miscarriages most likely happened, and what they did for me, those miscarriages, especially the two that I had back to back. It really like broke my soul of just like, some people it's easier for them to pick and choose. If you didn't want a baby at all, you're fine with having miscarriage. For me, it was more like I felt like it was a punishment, and I had so much religious trauma of me being like, God, why are you doing this to me? And I felt like I knew why, because of things that I had sinned that I had made. And it opened me up to such a, like, I don't know, a revelatory experience of something that was just so, I don't know, an out of body experience that I had when I was meditating and just sobbing during my miscarriage. And just, I had an experience where I felt like something was with me in the room, and it was so intense to where I immediately just, it was like I was being downloaded with information instantaneously. This is exactly why this happened. You are allowed to feel sad about it. There was nothing that I could have done outside of anything, even interpersonal things that I ever did in my life. It didn't matter. That it was supposed to happen for me, and whether I do or don't know that till the end of my life, it doesn't matter, but it will have an effect on me. And looking back, I can already see the effect that it's had on me. And I just think it's so crazy, all these topics that I've been introduced to because of those miscarriages were around 2019, 2020, and all of these things happening at once made me have to, I wanted to die so bad, I had to figure out the secrets of the universe. Okay. So if you feel like you could relate to whether it's your mental health issues, you got some family problems, you're married, you're not married. There's so many topics that I want to talk about, even just when it comes to like my own personal experience of my relationships with men in general. Even though I got married at 18, me and my husband have separated twice. We've both had our own journeys of things, right? And exactly how, like, even in the like astrologically, when I got into my own astrology chart, yes, when I went down the pathway of, psychology, I went down the path road of, like I said, astrology. It made so much sense. People that I chose, timelines, things that happened in my life, it's all in my birth chart, which is just fucking insane to me. But also, I want to talk about just even experiments that are going on right now, or ones that I'm finding out about and researching about, like the double slit experiment, which pretty much maintains that if you're observing something, it's structurally the atoms or the particles that are being shot out, the atoms will change. So when you're not observing them, they're erratic. But when you're observing them, not to say we ourselves are changing them, but they themselves change because they know they're being observed. Particles around us, flying through us, literally at the end of the day, we're finding out there is multiple dimensions. These are all theories. Einstein had theorized about black holes, and then in the last 7 years we found an actual black hole that confirmed that. So many things that were deemed heretical we're now finding out, and I feel like it is so interrelational to just our soul. And I really do believe we are vessels, containers of souls. And that is why, like, when you die, like, the life essence, it's not that it's just gone. So even when they're talking about whether it's these experiments about particles that go through us or the telepathy tapes, that is quantum entanglement. That is literally like, whenever they say moms have a fifth sense, whenever something happens with their kids, it's because the particles of that child was within the mother and stayed in the mother after the child, which science backs, by the way, that particles of a baby stays inside, well, actual like cells stay inside of the mother. And whenever, like, that's why, so when a baby is far away or a kid is far away, the mother might have a feeling all of a sudden. That's quantum entanglement. And what they're finding is those are instantaneously communicating with each other. So think about that in a sense of just everything, evolution, whatever. Not to say that there is not a singular source of all of this. What I'm saying is these particles are interacting with us, and we are interacting with them. And when we observe something, they choose to create the material. Does that make sense? In different ways. So all I'm saying is crazy experiments that are happening right now, I love to talk about, and we'll get into some. So whether it's working through my own personal shit or talking about the crazy shit that's going on in the world or in politics or what life could look like after 2025 as a woman now, like I said, I lean radically, not just to the left, but outside of the fucking political spectrum, because I think it is abhorrent, and it is very apparent that it needs to be reconstructed, reconfigured in a way to where it is more balanced. Not to where a president can have more power and do whatever the fuck they want, but to where it is more balanced for us as citizens. Why is most of the laws, even in my government class, we learned that most laws, percentage wise, statistically wise, are made for rich people or companies or property. Most laws are not made for like us as citizens, protecting our rights, protecting us against certain things. Most laws are made for people that, profit millions of dollars a year, not for me and you. And that's why I just think it's crazy when people have certain ideologies or even political stances that they want to align themselves with just a certain maybe tax bracket that they're never going to be in. And even if you are, let's just say you even make $1 million, that is nothing compared to a fucking billionaire. That is nothing compared to the way that people that make $1 billion, that you have to exploit somebody. Even me looking into billionaires and how we perceive $1 million versus a billion, there's no ethical way to make $1 billion. So even when it comes to all these people that, after Luigi shit, when people started talking shit about, or started, not even talking shit, when people started trying to defend these billionaires, maybe there is no possible way to positively make $1 billion without being unethical in some way. There's not a way. Not a single soul can work hard to make $1 billion. You cannot work hard to make $1 billion. A lot of these people are people that started off with a huge chunk of money from their mommy or daddy, okay, including Elmo Muskrat, okay, so much money, then they invest it in companies and buy companies and then exploit those companies, cheaper labor, making higher profits, paying people less. People like you and me, okay? Even if you think he might be paying somebody a good amount, a decent amount, that's not shit compared. He could give away, literally, he could only keep $99 million and he could cure world hunger with the rest of his fucking wealth that motherfucker has. These are topics that I will talk about, that I am interested in, and giving you just a backstory of just like, I came from a conservative Christian family, right? And all it did was make me look sideways and be like, there's so many people here who Jesus would be like, you do not know me. You know what I'm saying? And for me it was like I related to what Jesus was saying. Jesus to me was a very radical feminist, very, anti religion, anti government. So whenever I hear modern conservative Christians talk about being Christians, I'm like, you do not know who Jesus really is in your soul, in your heart of hearts, because all the judgment and rhetoric and, hateful ideals that they spew and where their morals are and how they view themselves, especially white conservative Christians and just white women in general. One thing I'm going to say today is there was those girls that have their own podcast. I don't even know the name of the podcast. I'm not even going to watch the whole podcast. I just saw the one clip. I will not be giving them a view, that were talking down about Megan the Stallions, pronouncing her name wrong. So many microaggressions, even pretending you couldn't pronounce Megan, which white women, don't say black women's names right all the time. But this time it was a literal white name, a more white name, Megan, Meg, and they still tried to give her microaggressions about it. Or, we don't really know what his type is because all the girls he talked to look like you. What, blonde, white, dumb, bitch? It just, to me, it's just insane to hear the racism and the misogyny that's so deeply rooted also into some women as well. And I want to walk women through why you even having your own podcast, or even for that one girl, Lana, the only thing I know about her is she was a porn star and that she has a baby daddy that, or she doesn't know who it is, but it's somebody that's famous. I don't know. But what I do know is white women love to play in the culture, but not really do the work about researching statistics, about researching how microaggressions historically have harmed black women. Anything that has the word fucking aggression in it, like, to me, I'm just like, bro, it is just insane to be alive and be an adult woman and be in a room full of people and hear, this is another reason why I like to have my hair blue, is because when other white people see me, they know I'm not that kind of white bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like, I forever feel like I should have to have my hair a color, so that way people who are just, red pilled and closed minded, leave me the fuck alone and don't talk to me? So whether it's politics, aliens, my own personal stuff, my own journey, my motherhood, there's so many things we could talk about. And I really feel like this is just supposed to be a journey for me, and I'm supposed to just start this and see where it goes. Who knows what's going to happen? Maybe I'll get 5 episodes deep and be like, fuck all of this. I feel like it's not worth it anymore. Or maybe this will become something to where I can have an open dialogue with other people that are asking the same questions, that, not, you don't have to be just like me, but I'm just telling you up front, kind of my beliefs and where I'm at in the systems of all systems, or my beliefs of all the systems. And if you feel like you can relate to that, I want you to listen to my podcast and just kind of, I don't know, see if you can relate to the questions I'm asking, and I want other people to feel like they can ask questions back. I just think that statistically we're nearing a crazy time period, because the more oppression and violence that, the government seeks, we're going to be nearing some really weird times where my daughters will have less rights than I've had up to this point of being a 27-year-old woman. And I just feel like every single person on this planet has a specific timeline, things that are presented to them that they are supposed to maybe do, see, feel, experiment with, whatever the case may be. But for me and my timeline and my journey, I just keep feeling led to just talk. And there's the next episode that I'm gonna make is gonna be one of the ones that, like, you gotta keep an open mind. Say if you feel like you relate or you want to ask a question, or DM me on Instagram. It's Earth2 Taylor, EARTH 2 number 2 TAYLOR, Earth to Taylor. And you can either, DM me or send a, drop a comment on here and put what you want to hear about. Is there any conspiracies that you want to talk about? Because I know I have a long list of them, but let's see if y'all have some ones in common. Is there any things that you want to talk about in your interpersonal life or stories that you have? I love the podcast where Am I the Asshole, and they send in ones. I love giving people advice, especially when it comes to a lot of like emotional turmoil at play in situations and a lot of people's feelings. What's the best thing for somebody to do, and how I can verbalize that to somebody without with them becoming fully aware of all points of view, really becoming the observer of the whole situation. If you have a situation going on, let your girl know. I love to get into people's business, not just because I want to be in your business, but because I want to help. I want to help. And I just feel like there's just so much crazy shit going on. So subscribe, like, follow Earth to Taylor, join me, and honestly, I'm going to drop another episode on Friday, and that one's going to be about drones and orbs. Where are these orbs being seen? Where are these drones being seen? I want to insert clips in there, and I want to show y'all some of that. Like, there's so much crazy stuff, but I want to start off with what is in the damn sky. That is what I want to know. What are in the skies, bro? Because to me, if something is trying to communicate with us, especially if we're nearing some, another extinction level event, which has happened, historically speaking, there is so much evidence of world ending things happening, but humans come back and persevere. Something's going on cyclically to where we don't all die every time there's some crazy natural disaster that like wipes out, extinction level dinosaur events, but doesn't wipe us. We create another form of human. So imagine if we were in some, dimensional space time continuum trap box, right? That we are nearing another extinction level event if we don't get it right. And especially, I think if we don't get, whether it's, who knows what's going to happen. It could be AI, World War III. I don't know. My right to even make any more videos being taken away. We're about to fucking find out, fairly soon in 2025. Because if there's one thing that I've felt and learned throughout my 27 years of life is question everything. Question yourself, question your own reactions, question what you see, what you hear, what's in the news, what's not in the news, question why are they taking TikTok down? There's too much shit going on in nature, and people becoming aware of dimensional space-time at the same time. And this is not for no reason. Everything is interconnected. Nothing is a coincidence. But I do believe we are all here together in this timeline for something. And I really do think that compass points towards realizing we are all a soul, right? And I think we're all part of one singular source. And I think that even the crazy shit that goes on in the skies relates to religions and esoteric knowledge, multiple religions and multiple, people that have really studied into different phenomena that go on between the battle of, to me, I feel like our soul on this planet. There is something here incessantly trying to feed off of our energy. And I want other people to start becoming aware of their own selves and their own, cycles that they go through, as I am trying to work through my own, and things that I do when I want to crash out, or when I'm frustrated or angry with a timeline, or why things are not the way I thought they should be. I feel like we should question all of that. Question your own ego, question other people's intentions, and find a way to become aware and create a safe space for yourself to accurately, depict what you want out into the world. And I am just grateful for this journey to be able to do it here with you guys, and to have a platform that I can even talk on. I hit 20,000 on TikTok a couple months ago, and I'm at like 21,000 on Instagram, and I'm just grateful to even have that. But to me, I feel like, it's fun to make pictures and videos and whatever, but things that are actually close to my heart, I feel like I'm being led consistently. I need to speak about all these topics. And I'm excited to talk about these freaking orbs, bro. This is crazy. Before TikTok gets taken down, okay, because we'll only have 2 days after this episode. Well, 2 days after the orb episode that I'm going to release on Friday to look at it. Start right now. Go and DM me a couple questions that you have, or, theories that you have about them. I want to know, but I feel like I do know, and I'm going to tell you what I think I know. So join us on Friday to find out. Bye.